Hi there, this is Jonathan Clark, and this is called How to Launch and Grow a Successful Business Networking Group, or From Fledgling to Flagship. Okay, so maybe you've decided that networking in business would be a smart move for your business. Maybe you can even see it as an income strategy, which is how I see it. But what if you don't have any business networking events anywhere near you at the moment? What if you're starting from zero and you feel as if you have no contacts to speak of anyway? Wouldn't it be great to feel plugged into the local business community in your area? Or maybe you understand the huge potential in being the organiser of such a group. All that credibility, all that positioning and all that influence. But there's a lot to think about. And how do you find members? And how many people do you need? And all these kind of questions come to mind. So I thought I'd give you a complete treasure map in how to build and launch your own business networking group. So in a few short months, you can wake up connected. Now, back in my BNI days, it's Business Network International, one of the biggest networking organisations on the planet, I was a director consultant, also a chapter president of a top performing chapter, and I was in the top 10% of members. I was also one of the regional trainers. Now, one of my duties was to launch new chapters. Now, with my first group, I was fresh out of training and I was itching to get started. I found this fantastic country house venue with a tree-lined approach and gorgeous meeting rooms. But I was really disappointed and I was quite surprised at the lack of support from BNI. And I quickly realised it was going to be down to me to get the initial leaders in. And then they were expected to invite their contacts and connections into the group to make it grow. So I found the first 5 and my job was to train them to do likewise. Now, the second group that we launched was a joint effort with 2 of my director colleagues, and although it took a while, we got that up to 25 members and we launched with a bang. With 3 of us collaborating and sticking to a game plan, we created something pretty special. The third group always just seemed to have around 6 members. Some joined, some left, and it just never seemed to go anywhere. It was like something was missing. So each group taught me some lessons, and I'd like to share the best of what I've learned here so you can benefit from our experience. Now, the first question might be, why on earth would you want to launch a brand new networking group or resurrect an ailing one? Well, first of all, it boosts your visibility and your credibility. If you're out there being seen and you're out there being seen as credible, then that can bring you lots of clients. It will dramatically increase the number of business contacts you have. It's good fun. It will breathe life into your existing group if you run this play. And you can use it with an already established group that you might be flagging, or you can use this strategy to build a brand new group from scratch. It will certainly bring money into the local community. If you've got 20 to 30 or more local business owners all working together, there's a kind of thing called the power of money, where if you spend 100 quid with one of them, that they'll then use that £100 maybe in petrol at a local petrol station. That money goes into their money and they go and buy something else. You know, it spreads, it ripples out. It's a huge personal growth experience, because really running a networking group is like a leadership development program in disguise. Okay, you get to help a lot of people, and it's a huge opportunity to collaborate. See, one of my biggest lessons in business was I tried to do everything as a one-man band. And it worked, and I was doing well, but when the recession came along, things changed dramatically like it did for a lot of people. And I had to reinvent myself. I was like Madonna. Part of that was, well, not quite like Madonna, but part of that was tapping into the power of a 20-member strong group of local businesses that eventually provided 70% of my clients. So you really are stacking the deck in your favour if you follow the steps I'm about to outline for you. So let me give this to you step by step so that you can duplicate this or teach it to your own guys, because that's really, really important, as you're going to find out in a minute or two. This is how to launch a brand new business networking group or resurrect an existing one. The first thing you need to do is commit to a date. So I would look at the diary and set a date for at least 3 months away, because you're going to need plenty of time to prepare. To start a group, you need an event venue right away, so you have something specific to invite people to. Just importantly, get a date in the calendar as well for the second meeting, right? So if you're going to meet monthly, then you'll want a second month's event in the calendar and exactly 1 month later, so that people leave the first event with something else that they can get excited about in the future. Okay, if it's a weekly event, book week 1 and week 2. It's important to have a routine, you see. You really want to set that cadence or that rhythm so they know the ebb and flow of activity in the group. And when events are sporadic or kind of ad hoc, people don't know what to expect. People are creatures of habit, right? And they like certainty. So give them routines, because groups like routines. Step 2 is to find a great venue. So you need a room that's big enough to grow. Ideally holds 25 to 50 people with tables. Maybe also a breakout room as well if you want a separate space for other stuff. It should be an easy to find venue. It should be really clean and business-like. Lots of parking, preferably free. You'll need audio-visual connection and a screen because you're going to be doing presentations, and preferably natural daylight. One of the rooms we had was one wall was glass and it was just great. There's nothing worse than being in a stuffy room with no windows. Are you going to give refreshments or a full meal? You decide what the guests get to eat. You definitely want tea and coffee and water. As I said, ideally the parking would be free. The staff need to be professional. It's ideal if it's a classy place and it's central and it's got free Wi-Fi. These are all the criteria that you need to think about. If you think about it now, you won't get caught out later. And I would recommend you speak to the marketing manager or the events and conferences manager, and you ask them, what catering can you do for £5 a head? You negotiate from a place where you're guaranteeing them footfall every single week or every single month. Plus, we're going to be promoting their venue, and members will also hold spin-off one-to-ones in the venue. So there's plenty of business in it for the venue. It's in their best interest to get you a good deal. Now, step 3 we recommend is your leaders. You want to get a core group of maybe 3 drivers who should be signed up in advance. These are your initial 3 leaders who are going to build with you. All right. Now, ideally, these guys are well connected. They have a successful business and they've got good attitude. Okay. So if you find 3 people, and they then find 3 members each from their warm market, you've now got a group of 9 potential bodies in that room pre-launch. 3 is an ideal number because if one of them is away, there's still 2 to run the meeting. Okay, they can assist with signing in, they can help set up the table or set up the room while you speak to visitors and guests. Now, what we recommend you do is you get those 3 leaders to list 10 people that they'd like to have in the group, right? 10 people they already have a close relationship in business with. And then narrow it down. Ask them out of those 10 people, which are the 3 closest relationships. Out of those 3, who's the one that they would dearly love in the group or want to do more business with? That's the person you want them to invite. Okay, so you've got 10, take it down to 3, take it down to 1. And those 3 leaders of yours are going to invite those ones as guests. Step 4 is to paint the vision. You want to paint a clear picture of an ideal future that inspires others into action. So you might say, what if we launched at 50 members? How cool would that be? You're talking about the vision, not a goal, right? So Martin Luther King didn't say, I have a goal. He said, I have a dream. So you're looking to fill the room with leaders and dreamers and decision makers, not just members. You want proactive people with the right attitude who are going to lead. Now, all it takes is a professionally run meeting with lots of visitors. That's how to grow a networking group, a professionally run meeting with lots of visitors. That's it. So one of the ways to do that is to co-create a group mission statement on a flip chart. So ask each of your core 3 leaders, what do you want from this group? Okay, what is their vision for a group that works? What will they need to get from the group for it to be worthwhile? And you're looking for common answers. You're looking for themes or common denominators. The team will find commonality of purpose and they'll be willing to build it because now they own it. People will support what they own. So co-create that vision together. Next step is to start the inviting process. So the goal is to get 20 people saying, yes, I'm going to come. Because if 20 people say, yes, I'm going to come, 12 will actually show up. So start with your warm contacts, your friends, your colleagues, clients, suppliers, and ask for their help. Ask them to come along to your inaugural meeting and invite 1 or 2 of their contacts with them. Okay? And what I'd do is I'd follow that up with a phone call maybe a week later to see how they're getting on with the inviting process. Now, I would suggest you select categories or industry types that you want in the room. Every networking group needs an accountant, a printer, a web designer, a car garage, You know, there's certain core categories that every chapter should have, or every group should have. So invite those guys and consider stacking them. So for instance, if you invite 3 accountants and they all turn up, one of them is going to want to join because you've only got normally 1 seat per category per profession. Okay, that's an exclusivity, which gives you a kind of monopoly within your group. So if you're inviting 3 accountants and there's only 1 space for 1 accountant, then you're probably going to get an application from one of them. And you're going to invite these guys by letter, postcard, verbally, by text message, by email, by social media, however you want to do it. Obviously all GDPR compliant approaches, okay? But invite. Okay, if you invite 10, you might get 4 yeses. You might get 2 showing up. So it's a numbers game. And then make sure you follow up those invites with a call, especially before the event. The day before the event, call everybody and say, hey, are you bringing anyone with you? Because we need to tell the catering people. Notice it's not, are you still coming? It's an open-ended question. Are you bringing anyone with you? Because we need to tell the catering people. And you can give your guys that as a script or a text or an email to help them invite properly. Next, you want to set up an Eventbrite page. We like Eventbrite. It's a very useful website and it gets a lot of traction online. You just set up your event, the dates, the venue, and then you announce that. And then what I would do is I would then ping that out to all the social media channels. So I think Eventbrite lets you do that anyway. You can share your event on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. The more people know about this, the better. Step 7 is to set up a Facebook page. So a Facebook page for the group. Get a nice banner and maybe get an image of the venue or local scenery or local landmark. And that Facebook event is for the group, but it's also that Facebook page is for the group, but you're also going to have a Facebook event for the particular meeting. Okay? So a Facebook page for the group and a Facebook event for the meeting. Now you then announce that event on social media. So share it on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, etc. But I would have a closed Facebook group for members only. All right, so the business page is kind of like the public front for it, and then there's a private closed Facebook group for members only. I would then go to meetup.com and I would set up a meetup group for your organisation, and then set up an event and then announce that event on Meetup. Meetup's very good at spreading the word and getting other people to see about it. And then guess what? You share that on social media. So you share your Meetup group on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, etc. Step 9 is to gather your logistics and supplies for that first inaugural meeting. Most networking groups have a U-shaped arrangement of tables because that works really well. So you need to make sure there's going to be enough tables there. You might need any joining paperwork or any application forms or whatever your joining process is going to be. Maybe promotional leaflets, maybe the members' promotional leaflets, that might be quite good. You want a nice tablecloth for the sign-in table. You maybe want a sign-in sheet for visitors. You're certainly going to need extension cables for plugs. You might need stickers or badges for name tags. You're probably going to need a laptop and a screen or a TV. You might have a cash box, pens and paper, flip chart and marker pens. These are all the basic stuff you need to run an event. Step 10 is to allocate roles. So it should be clear in the group that somebody is going to be the host for the visitors coming in. Somebody is the group leader or president, or whatever you want to call them. Somebody should be the treasurer, dealing with the money. Somebody might be the social media coordinator. Somebody might be the events person who's going to manage all the meetup groups, etc. But it pays to allocate roles so everybody knows what their job is. Step 11 is the moment you've been waiting for. It's the first inaugural meeting. Now this is really important that this goes well. So keep it friendly, keep it informal, and keep it kind of introductory in nature. Explain what we're aiming to do here, so you paint the vision. Now, it's important you include why we are all here, what the heck we're doing here, give everybody a chance to do a Salesforce update or a 60-second pitch or whatever you want to call it. Whatever you want to call it, it's important that every member gets a chance to stand up and tell everybody what they do, how they help people, and the kind of introductions they're looking for, right? If you know my approach, I always teach that you're not selling to the room, you're training the people in the room to be your introducers. So you need to tell them who you want introductions to. Be clear on what your application process is, so list the benefits of joining and have a very clear method of joining. You might also want to have like an education slot in each meeting. So maybe there's a 5-10 minute slot where somebody teaches something useful, maybe on how to invite, for instance. That might be a good idea at the early days. And a nice strategy that I think works really well is to have every new member have a simple task, which is to sponsor one new member, and then help that new member find one new member. So you bring in, A brings in B, right, who joins, and then A acts as a mentor, and then he mentors B to find person C. Does that make sense? And then rinse and repeat. So you're introducing the concept of inviting visitors. A group without visitors dies. So it's really important that your inaugural meeting drills that home. People need to get into the habit of inviting, because they'll get out of the habit if you're not careful. So you're setting precedents here, and it's really important you set the tone early. I found that to my cost a few times. So get this embedded in early. And find a way that everybody's happy with. So give them different ways. Give them a letter, give them a text message, give them a postcard, give them an email, give them a phone script, whatever they need so that they can invite people. Okay? And then I would teach them the 6 golden geese categories from the turn your contacts into contracts method. The 6 kind of golden geese categories that you're looking for. And ask each member for one of those categories that they want, right? So do they want finance people? Do they want real estate people? Do they want trades people? Do they want business services people? Who do they want in there? And then when somebody says, well, yeah, I'm looking for tradesmen, well, you could say, okay, does anybody know any good trades? Does anybody know a good joiner, a good plumber, a good electrician? Now you're starting to build a visitor list. Does that make sense? But your aim is to help all the people in the room bring at least one more person to that room. And you can use the 10-3-1 strategy again. Who are the 10 people they do business with? Narrow it down to 3 that they really like, and narrow it down to the 1 that they want in the group. See, this focuses people. It creates closer relationships. Your conversion rate is higher because you're dealing with warm market. You're installing this mentor mentality, so everybody's helping everybody else. And it's, quite frankly, it's an easier sell to the new members. You're saying, look, I only want to bring one person to the group. Okay? Walk through the application process, so teach them what they need to do to sign up. Ask everyone what they enjoyed about the presentation. So get that feedback, find out what went well and what could be improved. And then encourage everybody to book one-to-ones. So suggest that everybody should meet some of the other members out with this meeting. So if the meeting is monthly, that's going to take a long time to build the relationship. So I would recommend you pick 1 or 2 of the guys in the group and you have a one-to-one with them before the next meeting. That accelerates the relationship building part. Okay, step 12 is follow-ups. It's really important you follow up, and you follow up everybody. You follow the guys who attended and joined. You follow the guys who attended but didn't join to find out what was wrong. You follow up the people who didn't appear. They said they were coming but they didn't, so find out what happened. And you follow up the people who did attend to get feedback. So you talk to everybody to get the feedback on the first meeting, right? And again, you can cut and paste scripts for emails. So you can follow up the guys that you couldn't get on the phone. You can then send them an email as well. But everybody should get a touch, if that makes sense. Follow up everybody and get the feedback. Step 13 is to email the founder members. And I would suggest you do this every day, maybe for the week after the first meeting. So like say the meeting's on a Monday. So Tuesday, email them immediately and go, well done, that was fantastic. Remember, we're inviting for next meeting, so keep me up to date on how many people you've got. And here's what to ask, give them a script, and here's how to follow up. The next day, ask them who they bring into the next meeting. The next day, ask them if they need help. Right? Then the next day, send them useful information about the next meeting, the date, the price, whatever they need, scripts, whatever they need. Just basically keep the momentum going. That's really important. That often kills groups, is when they get a big burst of activity, they get a bit of success, and then they sit back on their laurels and get complacent. You need to keep the momentum going, especially in the early days. Again, I'll say it, set the precedent now so that these guys get trained for the future. Step 14, get on social media. So post pictures of your inaugural meeting, post videos, maybe testimonials, whatever you did, but put something out there to show that you actually did do your meeting. You know, you said you were going to do it, so now prove to the world that you actually did it, and make them jealous of what they missed, okay, and invite people to the next one. Step 15, I recommend you have a map of the journey and little milestones, little targets for people to aim for. So you can tell everybody that's your initial founder members, look, when you get to 20 members, we're going to do a training workshop. Instead of the normal meeting, we'll have a closed door training workshop to make you guys even better at networking. When you get to 25, we're going to have a night out. When you get to 30, we're going to do another training meeting, maybe on presentation skills, say, so that when they stand up and do their presentations, they're even better. When you get to 35, we're going to have another night out, and we're going to have a hall of fame where we're going to celebrate the best performers and the best inviters. When we get to 40, we'll do another training workshop, maybe on how to grow chapters or grow groups or inviting strategies, whatever. When we get to 45, we're going to have a night out. When we get to 50, we're going to have a launch party, and we're going to launch this thing formally and have a big visitors day or visitors evening. That's a good ladder to walk along. Okay, step 16 is the push to 20. You want to get to your 20 members. That's your first target. So you build it, then you teach them how to build it. So you're installing best practices early on. So each member is encouraged to invite one or two other people to the next meeting. Now, over the years, we've found that people either can't or they won't. If they're not inviting guests, it's either because they can't or they won't. If they can't, then you have an education topic on how to invite, and you give them scripts, text, emails, whatever method they could use to invite. If they still don't, then it's not that they can't, it's that they won't. Does that make sense? Teach them how to use LinkedIn to find people. Demonstrate the search function on LinkedIn. Show them how to connect with people in the local area of whatever category they want. If you want architects in London, you can do a search for architects in London, and LinkedIn will give you hundreds. You then send your invitation message to them all. Okay? Again, more one-to-ones before the next meeting. So book a one-to-one with a member that you haven't already done one with. We recommend 10% of your group size is the number of one-to-ones you should do before the next meeting. So if there's 10 people in the group, you should do one one-to-one before the next meeting. If there's 20 people in the group, you should do two one-to-ones before the next meeting. More social media activity, so more talking about the organisation, more tips, more advice, more guidance. You might want to do a press release at this point to announce in the local community what you're doing and how this thing is building. And again, I'd have an education topic on every single meeting where you pick one aspect of networking and you train your guys on how to do it. Now, the next step would be when you get to the 20 member mark, you're going to have that training workshop. So you might want to focus on, say, referral skills, which is how to give more referrals and how to get more referrals. 25 members is your next target when you have a night out. So you have a social night out to celebrate your growth. You've done tons of hard work. So now everybody celebrates. And you book more one-to-ones. And you maybe do some more social media and you post your night out and the embarrassing photographs and all that jazz. And just keep building. You get to 30 members, again, we do a training workshop instead of a normal meeting. This breaks up the routine and gives people a bit of variety and keeps them fresh. You might want to do presentation skills, so how to do a good pitch, how to do good stage skills, that kind of stuff. You want visitors next week or the next meeting to have a really positive experience. So always remember that a guest or a visitor at your group is a great result for that group. Even if they don't join, they're going to probably spend money with the group. And they're certainly going to go away and talk about the group. So the more people in that room, the better. So book more one-to-ones, do more social media, have your education topics ready to go for the next meeting. The next milestone is 35 members. Have another night out. This time celebrate your Hall of Fame, your best performing members. More one-to-ones, more social media, line up your education topics. Next milestone is 40 members. Do another closed-door training workshop instead of the normal meeting. Maybe group development. So how to bring visitors, why to invite guests, more strategy, more how-tos. Maybe you've got new members now, so they need to be shown how to invite. And again, do the mentoring thing where A invites B and B is trained to help find C. More social media, more education. Get to 45 members, have another night out. Do more one-to-ones, more social media, line up your education topics. Then you get to 50. 50 was the big goal. 50 was the Martin Luther King vision, right? So you have a big launch party, and I would recommend you have a big sort of visitors day or visitors evening where you're launching at 50 and you're hopefully bringing 50 guests to that launch event. Imagine if you got to 75 or 100 members. That'd be really cool. And again, more one-to-ones before the next meeting, more social media, more education. So you see the cycle, you're just growing and growing and growing. It's bigger, more people, more activity, it just keeps going. This is what works. It's when people stop this that things start to die. Now imagine if you pulled this off. See, typically, if you add 10 people to the group, the amount of business that gets done doubles. Doubles. So if you want to earn twice as much money from your group, get another 10 members in. Okay? Now, at this point, you might be thinking, I could have a series of groups in different cities. If you're really ambitious, you could have a series of groups in different countries. I mean, if everybody followed this model, you could help each other. Wouldn't that be cool? Imagine you had a SWAT team of service providers at your fingertips whenever you needed some help. So let's say one of your friends is going to get married, okay? And you've got a florist, a limo hire company, an events planner, a wedding ring designer. You've got that wedding team ready to go, right? What if someone needs a new bathroom? You've got the bathroom fitter, the tiler, the joiner, the electrician, the interior decorator, interior designer. There's the trades guys that can come in. Imagine if you had that, one phone call and you've got your problems handled. That's one of the benefits of networking. Just suppose the best local business minds started to gravitate towards your group because they keep hearing good things about it. People are buzzing about the meetings. They're seeing you all over Facebook, LinkedIn and Twitter. I mean, your group might become the biggest networking group in your area. So, at the start of this long description, I told you about 3 networking groups that I was involved in launching. Now, the most recent group I helped is still stuck at about half a dozen people. A year later, it's been a long time since I last saw them. They just aren't inviting. They're not inviting new people. And that networking group will lose members. All networking groups lose members through natural attrition. So if you're not bringing in new blood into that room, each meeting, the members of the group are going, well, there's nobody new here, so why should I keep coming? And that's the wrong attitude, but that's what they do. You can ask them, how many people did you invite personally? Right? So it's imperative that you set precedents at the start and select the right leaders. The second group launched at 25 members. We built it to 25. We launched. It was great. And then they got complacent and they stopped growing. After all the build-up, all the training, they did a big launch event. They rested on the laurels and they plateaued. Right? And then a couple of the leaders started to be absent a lot. And the slack just wasn't taken up, and that's where the rot set in. And the end result was they went down to 5 members within a few months. They went from 25 down to 5. All the trades guys left, and that set the rot in even more, resulting in a mass exodus. And no one wants to join a networking group with 5 members. Would you? So benefit from our mistakes and use this recipe that I'm outlining. It will make your life a heck of a lot easier. The first group I launched, all on my Onio, where I brought in the first 5 core members, and then I spent several months trying to inspire them and empower them and invite them to invite more local business owners. The end result was they just didn't bother. They just didn't bother. And eventually, despite helping them and training them individually and as a group, it was just going nowhere. So we were forced to shut it down. And that was a real shame. I put a lot of blood, sweat and tears and my money into that, and it came to nothing because they weren't. So, to this day, that area still doesn't have a decent networking presence. It's a shame. The solution would have been in the recipe I've outlined above. So I've compiled this from all the mistakes I've made, and I take responsibility for personally, and all the training I've ever done, and what I've seen that works and what I've seen that doesn't work. It's really important you recruit strong leaders at the start who have a shared vision, and then train them in best practices. Then you work as a team. I heard it said once, pray for a good group, not a big group. So just have great professional meetings with lots of guests and it will grow. Make it simple to invite guests and have targets to strive for. You'll make friendships and you'll make some money along the way. And if you want to work on your own, you've a limit on how far you can get and how much money you can make and how big your business can grow. That's the hard way. You'll either burn out or you'll grow to resent what you do for a living. If you like making your life more difficult, carry on. The fact is, the more people who know you, the more people who like you and the more people who trust you, the more business you'll get. So to get everything you want in life, you need other people's help. Think of what being connected to a team of trusted professionals who have your back feels like. I've heard of businesses going to the wall or someone's house burnt down and their networking group rallied round them to help the struggling member get back on their feet again. I have heard that. That would be the power of networking at work right there. So, from Fledgling to Flagship, there's outlined a whole bunch of steps for you. That's the recipe, 23 steps, 50 members. Go for it and let me know how you get on. This is Jonathan Clark. Take it easy. Bye-bye.